Hello race fans and welcome to the Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez here for the 2022 Mexico City Grand Prix. We're here up in the high altitudes for some qualifying sessions here on an overcast day, and let's see what our drivers can do as they get out onto the grid. And here's your practice report for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Keita Watanabe looked pretty good around this track. Again, he did look good last year, but an engine failure took him out prematurely. So what can he do this time around? And hopefully, if the engine and reliability stick, and can Toyota, will they go to extra lengths to secure it? Well, we'll wait and see about that. Keita Watanabe in practice 2, 8th place. Yuki Tsunoda struggled all throughout the session though, so we'll have to wait and see if he can pull back some form later on this weekend. Here is the setup that Keita Watanabe will be running here around Mexico. And news from the weekend is that the gearbox from Watanabe's car, they're going to get a new one. They won't inflict a penalty on that, but they didn't bring any upgrades this weekend, but they still remain the 4th fastest team. Not much changing in the pecking order towards the end of the season. No rain expected this race. However, the big news, and to ensure that no more failures occur, Keita Watanabe is taking a new energy store control electronics, which will give him a 20-place grid penalty. Through the stadium section we go, and Watanabe, he's not really pushing it as hard as maybe he would have before, because I mean he's not going to really, where he finishes doesn't really matter, but he tops the session, so maybe he was pushing a little bit, putting on a bit of a glory run for the fans. He doesn't go out again though, and he finishes 9th overall, so he did have pace. And did Toyota choose the wrong time to take an engine penalty? We'll have to wait and see. Qualifying 2, and Keita Watanabe did not go out again because there was no point. But Tsunoda, crucially, made it into Q3. Good result. Welcome to the sunny skies here at the high altitude of the Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez here for the Mexico City Grand Prix of 2022. This is a race that Honda cars typically do well around due to the high altitude. Is it because Honda secured its first win at the Mexican Grand Prix all those years ago? Well, let's wait and see. Red Bull bringing out a special tribute livery for the historic win in commemoration to Honda. And here we are, the Circuit Hermanos Rodriguez, the stadium section, one of the most bustling sections in the 3rd sector, another SS section in the 2nd sector, and a very long front and back straight with some DRS zones that will hopefully supply some good overtaking if you can nail the triple chicanes at the end of both. And here's your grid lineup for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Sunny skies, but maybe a little gloomy for Keita Watanabe, who finds himself close at the back of the grid with a huge engine penalty, having taken a new energy store and control electronics. So what can he do from the back of the grid? He had some incredible pace at the beginning of the week. Again, let's see if he can carry it on here in race trim. Lewis Hamilton gets pole position. Valtteri Bottas, P2. Your front row, Mercedes front row lockout. Can Bottas make it back-to-back wins? Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo making it all McLaren 2nd row. Sergio Perez 5th and Charles Leclerc 6th. Then you have Lance Stroll, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz down the order of a grid penalty along with Yuki Tsunoda as well. Fernando Alonso 11th, another grid penalty. Russell 12th, Verstappen 13th, and Nikita Mazepin down in 14th. Verstappen also taking an engine penalty. Sebastian Vettel 15th. Giovinazzi 16th, Mick Schumacher 17th, and Marino Sato down in 18th place. Kimi Räikkönen 19th, Esteban Ocon down the grid of another grid penalty. Nicholas Latifi 21st, and Keita Watanabe down the order with no time set. Let's see what they can do. 5 lights out. We're raring to go here for the Mexico City Grand Prix. What can our drivers do? Who can get off the line? Well, it's lights out, and away they go. And Lewis Hamilton gets a decent start, but Valtteri Bottas seems to have just jumped him at the start. Keita Watanabe's got the jump on Nicholas Latifi at the back of the grid, and there's a sea of cars ahead of him. Haas's, the Alfa Romeos, one Alpine amongst the mix. He's diving down the inside into turn 1, and it is a sea of cars. It's 4 wide heading into that corner. Watanabe just barely keeping it on the circuit. He's side by side with Marino Sato, and I think there might have been contact with him, and which created a Constantino effect into the Alpine, and now he's scrambling down and trying to see if he can get the move on Mick Schumacher down the inside, heading down into turn 4. What can he do down here? He's going to have to go around the outside of Nikita Mazepin though, staying just on circuit. Can he get Sebastian Vettel heading down into the double right-hander? No, he can't, but he's going to side in P16. He's made up about 6 places off the start, so Keita Watanabe, this is impressive form, especially considering he's starting on the medium tires, one of the few drivers to do so. And Sebastian Vettel, oddly enough, Aston Martin starting him off on the hard compound tire. So they're going for an audacious one-stop strategy as Watanabe barreling down the straight, heading into the stadium section. There's a huge dive bomb, cuts the corner slightly, but makes it ahead of Sebastian Vettel, and Watanabe makes up 7th place. Vettel pokes a nose in, but Watanabe holds the position. Let's look at the race start. Did you see how chaotic it is? How long this straight and the slipstream effect can be, and all these cars are fighting into turn 1. You would think this is the final lap of the race, considering how close they are. Yeah, there is contact. Watanabe gets a bit of understeer and goes into Marino Sato, his old teammate in the Alfa Romeo. You can see here, heading down into turn 2. Actually, oh, it's on understeer. Oh, no, he drives into Sato, and Sato kind of gives him a nudge to the left and to the right, and so Watanabe's rear end he loses the rear end almost, but he just manages to catch on that there's contact, and he steers out of it. Not too much front wing damage for Sato though, but he's not going to be happy about that. And here's Tsunoda's start. He pips Pierre Gasly, who looked to have just been bogged down, and he gets Lance Stroll as well, and he could have potentially gotten one of the 2 Ferraris. He's side by side with Carlos Sainz, fighting down as Tsunoda is fighting for his spot. Remember, he doesn't have a contract for next year, so he's really showing his form in these last few races. And here's the move on Sebastian Vettel, and yeah, that's a bit of a corner cut there, and some contact for good measure. Not a very happy Vettel. Heading down now into turn 12, just past Giovinazzi, and that is a more clean move. Now he's closing up on George Russell in the Williams car, and this is probably going to be one of the easier overtakes considering the Williams, where it is in the pecking order compared to the other cars on this grid. As he goes down the inside into turn 4, great move, and that is an easy move. Is he going to see if he can maybe get Lance Stroll? Stroll is looking a little weak as well. Again, another Aston Martin, again starting on the hard tire. And, oh, there's a McLaren going slow. Is that Lando Norris? I think that is. And that's smoke billowing from the back of the McLaren. And that is an unfortunate result for the McLaren driver. His Mercedes engine just not being able to cope with the high altitude. Heading down the DRS straight towards turn 12. And, oh, yeah, the engine just goes off. And that's really unfortunate considering just how much pace that McLaren was showing. And he showers the Red Bull of Sergio Perez in a sea of smoke. And his teammate gets a little impeded as well, which it's just the characteristics of the stadium section. Nowhere really that you can easily pull off to the side, but Norris is going to be very disheartened with that.
Losing power, I'm losing power, it's going.
Okay, keep going, safety car. Keep going for now,
My car is broken.
Yeah, Norris maybe could have fought for a podium. Closing in on a Lance Stroll now in the Aston Martin. DRS, ERS deployed, heading down the straight towards turn 4, and that is an easy move for Watanabe, whose medium tires are already rubbered into the track surface. And Lance Stroll tries to go up the inside, but Watanabe holds him up. He's trying to close in. There's a fight ahead with the Alpine and the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso. Alonso's squeezed out. They're side by side through the triple chicane. Alonso gets a little unsettled on the curb. He makes contact with Pierre Gasly. That opens up the door to Kato Watanabe. Down the DRS straight he goes. Alonso tries to make it 3 wide, but there's no space. Watanabe goes on the grass, and that is a beautiful double overtake for the Toyota driver, who was absolutely flying into the points. Let's look at this replay. You can see there's contact between the Alpine of Fernando Alonso. He pulls a switcheroo, but Gasly's unsettling on the curb also kind of causes Alonso to be wary. And there, he thinks he can go between the Toyota and the AlphaTauri, but there's just no room, and that is an audacious move. Lap 9, and the first of our soft tire runners are pitting with Charles Leclerc trying to make an undercut, and now Watanabe is going to have to really turn on those medium tires to try and stretch his advantage. Teammates in the pits, Verstappen, Ricciardo, all in the pits. Hamilton just exiting the pits. There he is at the end of the pit exit, and Watanabe is going to pass him. Well, Hamilton slapped on the soft compound tires. So what is he going to be able to do? He's going to really have to find some pace with those the tire advantage. Into the triple chicane we go. 1, 2, heading into turn 3 now, down towards the DRS straight. And I think Hamilton will get the DRS on this lap in the soft tires. He's going to make this easy work. Watanabe tries to defend the inside, but Hamilton soars past him. They fight into turn 4, and Hamilton's got the better line, and Watanabe gets squeezed out by Hamilton, and that is Hamilton regaining the position. Perez pits on this lap. and Lewis Hamilton passed him. Can Watanabe get by Perez? Bottas is pitting his lap as well, and unfortunately Watanabe is not able to get by the other Mercedes. Heading down into turn. There's this yellow flag behind. Oh, that's Lance Stroll. That's Stroll in the Aston Martin going around, and he blocks Max Verstappen. How has that occurred? That is a huge mistake from the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin just hasn't been able to get those hard tires to work. Into turn 1, and oh, I'm not even sure if that's just the grip. I think that's just Stroll just getting on the power too early, too viciously in through the first corner, and that is just completely unsettled the car, spun the rear end around, and that is not going to be good for anyone behind.
No grip picking up the power, and these tires are done.
I'm not sure if the tires are done. I think they've been done since he's slapped those boots on. Max Verstappen gets the move done on Charles Leclerc, and as you can see, whoa, there's just enough gap for the Williams and the AlphaTauri, but not enough for him.
But is this guy blind? What the is wrong with him?
Here's the wing cam footage of Verstappen, and just a little nudge on the end plate. Through the final turn we go, and here comes Sergio Perez, hometown favorite. He's looking for a podium at his home Grand Prix. What can he do? He gets the move done on Keito Watanabe, and that is a brilliant move. That being said, on the softer red wall tires, so Perez would have the tire advantage. Down to start, finish straight we go. And are we going to have another fight between Watanabe and Hamilton? We are! As Watanabe's been on those mediums for 21 laps since the start of the race. But Hamilton, those medium tires will be much fresher compared to Watanabe's worn ones. So what can he do? Through the triple chicane we go. It's going to be another fight. Has Watanabe come up with a defense from the last time he got passed by Hamilton? Here we go. Down the straight we go. ERS deployed, but Hamilton's just got that pace advantage. He's fighting it into turn 4, down the inside. They're side by side, and Watanabe just manages to stay ahead of the Mercedes. Through the final corner, a little unsettled on the sausage curb. That's going to disrupt his exit from the corner, and Hamilton is alongside with DRS, but ERS is being deployed from the Toyota. Tons of battery being pushed into the engine, but Hamilton with the DRS just makes the move so easy, and that is the move done. Is Watanabe going to contest into the triple chicane? Hamilton goes a little wide, but there's not enough gap, and he's too far ahead, and Watanabe is just going to have to sit behind and wait for his move. And Watanabe pits, so that is an almighty stint for the Toyota driver, who, while most drivers are attempting the 2-stop, he was trying to do the 1-stop. And let's just give a round of applause. From P20 to P3, at the moment, that is a sensational recovery drive from an engine penalty. And that is a decent stop from the boys and girls of Toyota. A little slow on the pit wall as Perez gets by him again, having pit himself for a second time. Gasly passes him, Max Verstappen passes him, and his teammate passes him as well. But on those soft tires, he's going to be extremely pacey if you look that quick on the mediums. And that's Lance Stroll, his engine blowing up. And that is the worst way to end what has been a disastrous weekend for Stroll. And that's 2 DNFs for the Aston Martin in the last 3 races, too. Let's look at the replay. And again, is this a problem with the Mercedes cars not being suited to the Mexico altitude at the circuit? Through turn 17 we go, down the start-finish straight, and Keito Watanabe with the DRS has got a lot of room to negotiate a move on his teammate. Tsunoda tries to defend the inside, but Watanabe is going to sail around the outside, and that is a textbook overtake for Watanabe. He can now put the chase on Max Verstappen. Through the final corner we go, and Watanabe has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the softs. Closing up to Pierre Gasly. Now, Gasly also on the soft tires. So what can Watanabe do as Gasly weaves a bit on the straight? He's trying to defend the inside, but look at the rocket ship that is that Toyota car. And Watanabe gets the move done well before the corner. And now, within a second of Max Verstappen, can he get up the P4 to cap off what has been a great recovery? He's closing on to Verstappen. Verstappen's exit from turn 3 gets a little compromised. Down to DRS straight we go. Max Verstappen, bit of a sitting duck, but he's got a bit of DRS from the back marker ahead. But Watanabe's going to dive down the inside into turn 4. Just manages to control the car, and that is the one place for the Toyota. Through the final corner we go, and Max Verstappen's going to get the DRS on this lap. What can Watanabe do? Max Verstappen, that rocket ship of a Honda with the special tribute livery, giving it a little bit of pace maybe. And here he goes, sailing around the outside. And Watanabe, is he going to contest into turn 1? No, he is. He's going to back off. Wisely backing off does the Toyota driver. And Honda power supersedes Japanese Toyota power at the Mexico City Grand Prix. And this is Yuki Tsunoda for a chance to make it into the top 10. Can he make it back-to-back points finishes in a row as he gets in the DRS stream of Fernando Alonso in the Alpine? And that is Tsunoda up into the top 10. A great move. Closing in onto Max Verstappen. Very, very close this time. Much closer than on some previous attempts. He's going to get the DRS on this lap, and Max Verstappen, crucially, doesn't get DRS this time. So with 2 laps remaining, is he going to try to make a move? He is! And Max Verstappen locks up into the corner, but Watanabe goes wide. It's side by side into turn 5, and Watanabe gives the squeeze to Verstappen to take the place back. Look at the replay. You can see here, Verstappen just on the outside defending. Watanabe goes way too deep on the inside, just manages to keep it under control. Cuts the curve a little bit, but also gives Verstappen the squeeze. And I don't think Verstappen's going to be very, very angry at the fact that he got squeezed off. I think it's going to be the fact that, that the little corner cut there and how he got position. And I think that says it all. Not happy Max Verstappen is. Valtteri Bottas has taken the lead from his teammate and who takes the championship lead from Max Verstappen, who only had a 2-point gap heading into the weekend. Valtteri Bottas wins the Mexico City Grand Prix, making it back-to-back wins for the Mercedes driver, who seizes the championship lead. And Keita Watanabe in a supreme recovery drive from the back of the grid to take P4 of this race. And if he hadn't taken the engine penalty, could he have perhaps won? We don't know, but Watanabe and Toyota are going to be very happy. But Sergio Perez makes it a hometown podium for the Mexican fans, but Valtteri Bottas will be the one who rises to the top of that podium. Lewis Hamilton takes P2, and Max Verstappen, P5, will have some questions to ask about strategy with Red Bull as he finds himself losing the championship lead that he had so safeguardingly held over these past few races. Tsunoda makes it another points finish. So ever since the second half of the season started, Tsunoda just looks to be on some top form after a few DNFs and a few poor, sketchy performances. Tsunoda just seems to be taking control of that car. But is it too little, too late? Well, we'll have to wait and see. As Valtteri Bottas takes a commanding 13-point lead over Max Verstappen in the championship order. And Daniel Ricciardo takes over from Carlos Sainz, and Sebastian Vettel drops behind Pierre Gasly. And nothing really changes in the Constructors' standings. And Mercedes seem to have taken this Constructors' Championship. And, well, 9 straight Constructors' Championships. Mercedes are at an all-time high and an all-time domination of the sport. Valtteri Bottas, though, takes the winner's trophy and can see another hand on a back-to-back championship title for his efforts as we head to Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix next. A historic race, and one where Keita Watanabe can maybe win again. Wait and see, but until then, that's it from us. Goodbye.